God, it's been a long time. Hey everyone, Jubby here, aka Chromatography, and it's finally time for the music and gear collection video. Yep, I said I'd do this after I did my vinyl spending spree, and well, I've done that now. So yeah, this has been a long time in the making, because before I knew I was going to do that vinyl spending spree, I tried to make this, and I tried to film all of my CDs and like all of my thoughts on them. And seeing this as a collection that's almost at 300 albums, that would be a bit ridiculous. I mean, no one really wants to spend 50 minutes watching me rant on about CDs that I don't actually care about that much. So I decided that instead I'd just do a long panning shot of all of the CDs and then talk about the ones that are my favourites in depth. I will do all the vinyl though, because that's not that big. I only started collecting vinyl at the end of last year. So yeah, let's start off with the CDs. So first up we got Air, the French band, as they so helpfully point out. We got Moon Safari, 10,000 Hertz Legend, and Ich spreche nicht Französisch. Moon Safari is definitely my favourite, like possibly a top 10 album for me. I find it really kind of spacey and relaxing. I'll do a video on it soon. 10,000 Hertz Legend is probably nearly as good as Moon Safari though. Got some really weird and interesting tracks on there. It's a lot darker and sometimes even creepy. Great to listen to. Then this one's kind of like a mini album of early singles. Not a ton to say about it. It's quite kind of Moon Safari-ish. I only listened to this one a few times, but yeah, that's it. Then we got the Avalanches, hell yeah. So this is Since I Left You, which is sometimes my favourite album ever. Right now it's probably my second, but I love this thing so much. We've got 18 tracks that all kind of flow together in this journey of thousands of samples from different countries and different styles of music and eras. Just so happy, but it sounds so kind of sad underneath. And that's my favourite kind of music, when it makes you feel happy, but you know that there's something quite sad underneath. I don't know if it's just me who gets this impression, but I feel that in this album. Also, this artwork is just, oh my god. I wonder who painted this. It looks awesome. Then there's Wildflower, an album which is still really good, but I probably don't love as much as this one. I mean, you can't really follow this up, can you? So, yeah, this is, if you're wondering why it's in this clear plastic case, it's because this is a free CD that came with the vinyl, but I'll be getting to that later on. Next up, there's the super fun party band Basement Jaxx. Got Crazy Itch Radio, Junto, Kishkash, Remedy with the kind of questionable cover there, Rooty, and the singles. So, Crazy Itch Radio is probably my favourite. I love how it flows together, and we've got some great tracks like Take Me Back to Your House and Everybody are probably my favourites on there. They get kind of stupid sometimes as well, in a good way, like, oh my god. Just Google Run for Cover, just listen to it. I'm not going to bother explaining to you. That's literally the funniest song ever. Nice holographic cover too. The man, the myth, the extremely talented producer, BT. I don't like to choose one favourite artist, but if I had to choose one, I think it would be this guy. I don't know what he does, but his music just seems to be so completely perfect. So much attention to detail and so much creativity. Tons of different genres, and I need to complete my discography collection from him because it's not complete. I've got ESCM, EMA, Movington Still Life, Song Across Wires, These Hopeful Machines, These Reimagined Machines, which is a remix album of that, and This Binary Universe. About This Binary Universe, I think I've got to say this is my favourite album of all time right now. It used to be Since I Left You by the Avalanches, but recently my mind has changed and I've decided that this is a completely flawless piece of music. It just takes you to a completely different world, and like I said before, the attention to detail is just amazing. You got a beautiful ambient opera, All That Makes Us Human continues, jazzy elements and dynamic symmetry, soundtrack-like music in the Internal Locus, an insanely thrilling and dramatic piece with a 110-piece orchestra, the Antikythera Mechanism, and a track dedicated to his baby daughter, Good Morning Kaya, which really gives me chills. Although I won't say too much on this one because I'm planning to do a series of 10 videos on my favourite albums ever, so don't want to spoil that. And These Hopeful Machines as well. Best album of the 2010s so far in my eyes. Suddenly is such a great opener. Just so many micro-edited effects, catchy synth hooks, and crazy attention to detail, like I keep on saying. The Emergency is super emotional despite not having much in the way of lyrics. The Light and Things builds up to a crazy drop at about 9 minutes with loads of pumping techno. And Le Nocturne de Lumiere barely has a hook, but just instead throws around loads of crazy elements, and it's just so much fun. Jesus, I need to stop somewhere before I review the whole album. Now, as I think the second biggest set of albums from an artist I've got in my collection, legendary big beat band The Chemical Brothers, so as the complete discography and more. So yeah, Born in the Echoes, Dig Your Own Hole, Exit Planet Dust, Further, No Geography, the new one, Push the Button, which is my favourite, Surrender, and We Are the Night. Then there's the Block Rock and Beat single, Brotherhood Collection, Live at the Social Volume 1, Singles 93-03, and yeah. So like I said, Push the Button's my favourite. I know I'm sharing opinions with the Wonky Angle, who know this isn't their most popular. I just find it so much fun to listen to, like, all the way through. I don't think there's a single bad track in there. Further's probably my second favourite as well. I love the CD, you got this whole booklet in the middle with this image here that folds out. I think that's from the Dissolve video. So yeah, you got the CD and a DVD, and I don't know why the CD's gone missing, but unfortunately it has. Hope I find that someday. Oh, an interesting story behind this one. I was talking to my friend's dad, who was in a band who apparently knew the Chemical Brothers and inspired their track It Began in Africa, so that's pretty awesome. He told me that this mix was amazing and bought it for me as a present, so yeah, that was cool. Not going to go through everything here because there's a lot, but yeah, that's the Chemical Brothers. Almost complete Coldplay discography because Coldplay albums are extremely easy to find in charity shops. So I got Head Full of Dreams, which is the most recent one, Milo Xylotto, which is probably my favourite, possibly due to the production from Brian Eno. Production on it is great. Parachutes, which is the debut, Rush of Blood to the Head, Viva La Vida, and X and Y. I love the way Coldplay write their songs. They can make some really powerful tunes, and they often have really good production from people as well. Only album I don't have is Ghost Stories, because my sister has a copy of that, and I've heard it before. I've heard her play it, so I don't really want to buy my own, but she won't let me put it on my shelf for some reason, so yeah, almost complete discography. Next large collection I've got is from Daft Punk. Going alphabetically, we've got Alive 2007, Discovery, which has the sleeve notes taken out because they're on the poster on the wall. By the way, that's going to be a recurring theme in this, things that have their sleeve notes taken out. Then Discovery / Human After All set. I'd already had Discovery when I got this, so I've only got Human After All. But then there's Homework, their debut, Musique Volume 1, 1993 to 2005, so that's a collection. And their latest album, Random Access Memories. Discovery and Random Access Memories have a lot more interesting stuff going on in them than Human After All and Homework. So I tend to like these two albums a lot more, and this one's my personal favourite. I must admit, even though I got it on CD, I really don't like Human After All. The tracks use that same sound and like are really similar and just seem to play around with one loop for their entire runtime. It's kind of lazy, particularly seeing as they take so long to make their albums, or appear to. Alive 07 is just such a great live album, probably my favourite live album ever I've got at the moment. Just makes all the tracks on Human After All so much more interesting than they used to be. This collection's got a handful of exclusive tracks, like Their remix of Mothership Reconnection by Scott Grooves, a track that I haven't heard. Their remix of that is awesome. Probably one of my favourite tracks from them ever. Another artist who viewers of my videos are more likely to have heard of, we got Deadmau5. I'm missing the albums Get Scraped, Vexillology, and the 2016 album. Although, I don't think Vexillology is on CD, but whatever. We've got album title goes here, for lack of a better name, 4x4 = 12, the live DVD, which is in a CD case for some reason, random album title, and While One Is Less Than Two, which is probably my new favourite Deadmau5 album. His album titles are pretty lazy, but I love the music, and I also love all the CD cases, how they're always in these, I think they're called digipacks, and most of them have got something unique and special about them as well. Like album title goes here, has a holographic cover, so it changes what's on the front. For lack of a better name, has like glossy eyes on the mouse head. 4x4 = 12 is textured with all these tiny dots, and so is While One Is Less Than Two. Also, this one is beautifully overpackaged. Yeah, Deadmau5 is pretty more mainstream than most of the artists I listen to, but I love his music. Like, the track Strobe is just such a nostalgia button for me. It was my favourite track ever for a long time, a couple of years ago. Introducing by DJ Shadow. I know this isn't a big collection, but I just wanted to show that I got the classics. I'm a big fan of 808 State. I can't really define them in terms of styles of music because all their music's all over the place, but I've got the Cubic single, which helpfully also has the 1 in 10 single also put in there, so yeah, that's lucky. Then Don Solaris, Gorgeous, and 90. I'd say Don Solaris was my favourite. It's probably a top 10 album for me. I just love how all the crazy jazz elements. I'm a big fan of jazz, by the way. And 90 also has the track Pacific 202, which I absolutely love. I've got more stuff to get by 808 State, though. Someone got all of Fatboy Slim's albums, which all have long titles. Better Living Through Chemistry, Halfway Between the Gutter and the Stars, and You've Come a Long Way, Baby, which is most people's favourite and my favourite. Also got the Sunset single. Not a ton to say there. Most people know who Fatboy Slim is. I got both of Galantis' albums, which I normally wouldn't be sharing with you because I don't listen to Galantis much, and this is only 2 albums. But Pharmacy was the first album I ever bought back in 2015 that just kicked off my love of music. And while it's not one of my favourite albums ever, it's got tons of nostalgia packed into it. And I used to play this in the car every single day. Mind you, their follow-up, The Aviary, is probably a better album. I just have so many memories attached to this album, so I wanted to share that with you. Next up is the complete Gorillaz discography, save for, what was it called? The Fall. Yeah, I'm much more of a Gorillaz fan than a Blur fan, even though I do have some Blur albums. So, yeah, Clint Eastwood single, everyone knows this song, Demon Days, the debut, Humans, the new one called The Now Now, and Plastic Beach, which I think is my favourite, probably due to all the electronic elements. I mean, Gorillaz are such a hard band to define in genre. They appeal to everyone, except my sister, just because of all the genres they go through. And they happen to have quite a lot of electronic elements in their songs, which is probably their main appeal to me. They're just fantastic at writing catchy tunes, so I love Gorillaz. Another one of my favourite acts, the orchestral electronic band Hybrid. I've got Disappear Here, Light of the Fearless, which is the new one, and Wide Angle, the debut. I just need Morning Sci-Fi and I Choose Noise, and then I'll have that whole collection. This box set for Light of the Fearless is the most expensive thing in my collection, including the vinyl. It's a very limited edition. I had to get it from America, so I had to pay £7 postage, but I think it was worth it because this is a great album. So there's the original Light of the Fearless, instrumental versions, orchestral versions, bonus tracks, and an album called Shadow of the Fearless, and the Light Up single. So yeah, the instrumentals are a little bit hit and miss because some tracks work better as instrumentals than others. Orchestral is quite short, it hasn't got all of the tracks on it, and a lot of the versions are quite short, but they work really well. as an orchestra. And Shadow of the Fearless has more instrumental tracks, whereas the original album had more vocal tracks. Not as good as the original, but still great. And Light Up's probably my favourite song on there, so it's great to have this single. And Wide Angle's probably in my top 10 favourite albums ever, somewhere. Just so intense, like particularly the tracks If I Survive and Finnish Symphony, which is indescribable. And you've also been hearing that in the background of this video. And an interesting thing about Disappear Here is that the guy who orchestrated it is the dad of someone who's a couple of years above me in my school, so that's really cool. I got to meet the guy at this music workshop thing. So yeah, it's a small world. Then there's some really classic old electronic music with Jean-Michel Jarre, français. We've got Equinox Infinity, which is the new album from him. Oxygen, which is an absolute classic, one of my favourite albums ever. And Original Album Classic Set, which has got Magnetic Fields, Zuluk, Rendezvous, Revolutions, and Waiting for Cousteau. I probably shouldn't have bought this. I probably should have just ordered the albums on their own, because they're pretty cheap to get. Also, this is a pretty terrible set, because what kind of person makes Jean-Michel Jarre Original Album Classics and doesn't include Oxygen or even Equinox? I mean, come on. But yeah, some absolute classic albums there. Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. Not what you'd expect me to buy, but this is easily like my favourite non-electronic album ever. It's in this special sleeve with the artwork from the vinyl album underneath. I love this art. It's just such a dramatic, insanely thrilling rock opera that just gets better every time you listen to it. Every single track is awesome on here. My favourite's probably Mama. He really sells it there. Gerard Way's such a good performer. It's my only album I got on CD from My Chemical Romance, because I've heard some other things from them on Spotify and don't think anything quite lives up to this standard of the Black Parade, but I'm gonna forever love this album. I bought the two classics, Definitely Maybe and What's the Story Morning Glory from Oasis, and I love those two albums. But then because of how abundant their albums are in charity shops, I got a bit carried away and bought the rest of their discography. And yeah, none of their albums live up to this. Like, Don't Believe the Truth, Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, Healing Chemistry, and Dig Out Your Soul are all really forgettable. I do like their Master Plan B-Sides collection, and Go Let It Out is on this cool clear CD, which looks cool even if I don't care for the track. Be Here Now's pretty memorable, even if it's kind of widely panned from what I can tell. But yeah, I'll stick around for these two. Maybe I should sell my others at some point. I'm a big fan of the band The Orb, who make a lot of like chill out and dub music. I've got Cydonia, Ventures Beyond the Ultra World, which is a really great album. I love the mood of this one. And the greatest hits, UF Off. I love that. And now, this is the one I've been waiting for. Orbital. Probably my second favourite band right now, and by far the biggest collection of albums that I've got on my shelf. The entire studio album discography up to this point. The Altogether, Blue Album, Insides, which is my favourite. Monsters Exist, the most recent one. Middle of Nowhere, which reveals the title when you hold it up to the light. Orbital, Orbital 2, Snivelization, and Wonky. Then there's also the DVD of the Altogether, which is also in 5.1 surround sound, even though I can't listen to it like that. The Are We Here EP, the Octane soundtrack, Satan Live 1-3, and Times Fly EP, and Work 1989 to 2002. They have so many albums that I love, like 9 out of 10s, and this one's probably like a 9.5. Wouldn't quite give this a 10. But they're an amazingly consistent band with their albums. And that's not even finished. There's still more on the vinyl and a ton more things from them that I need to buy, believe it or not. It's Pendulum. We've got their 3 studio albums, Hold Your Colour, Immersion, and In Silico, as well as Live at Brixton Academy. The three albums are pretty similar personal enjoyment wise, but I'd say Hold Your Colour's my favourite. I'd say they were my favourite drum and bass band. They kind of surpass people like Goldie for me, just because they add so many fun and interesting elements to their music. They're just a great band. I'm a big fan of prog rock, even though that's hard to believe, probably. I've got 3 albums from Pink Floyd: Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, and Wish You Were Here. I think Wish You Were Here is my favourite. I love the long stretches of solos on Shine On You Crazy Diamond and the epic title track. I love that one. It's probably not hard to see why it's my favourite if you've heard it. It's covered in synthesizers, which must have been really futuristic for people back in the 70s. The Dark Side of the Moon probably comes close to being my favourite. I mean, I love everything by them. I should probably get some more because they got tons of classics in their catalogue. The last collection of albums I'm going to show off in this video is from The Prodigy. Now, I think maybe some of you will know about the passing of Keith Flint really recently. That hit me hard because of how long I've been listening to their music. See, I've got all their discography except for Experience because I've been playing on that, getting that one on vinyl because I've heard great things about it. And then I've also got Breathe and the Out of Space single. So far, I think my favourite album I've heard from them is Music for the Jilted Generation. I just love how this is put together and all the driving force behind all the tracks. So yeah, like any electronic music fan, I love The Prodigy. Right, that's the CDs finished, and now it's night time, so I'm filming with unnatural lighting. Yay! So like I said, I haven't been collecting vinyl for that long, so I'll be able to show everything I've got rather than just the favourites. So why don't we just stop talking, let's get into it. So this is all my vinyl, LPs and 12-inch singles there, and 7-inch singles there. So let's go through them all alphabetically. Starting off, we've got a 12-inch from Air, Alpha Beta Gaga. Not a ton to say about this. By the way, this will be quite a theme throughout the vinyl, where I get something pre-owned by someone I like, but don't actually have that much to say about it. I do like this track though, it's catchy, it's got a great hook. Ooh, edgy cover, young Joseph. Surely this isn't music you should be listening to. This is the 12-inch single for Aphex Twin's famous track, Window Licker, which I absolutely love. Just a super original track built out of funky samples that would go on to be copied many times afterwards. Also got a nice drum and bass track on the B-side with... you get the idea. And a surprisingly calm track by Aphex Twin standards called Nanu, which is made completely from music box sounds. Nice touch. Also from Aphex Twin, his classic album Selected Ambient Works 85 to 92, which I got surprisingly late into my electronic music collecting. It wasn't until I read a section in this book about the 1001 best albums of all time, which said anyone with more than a passing interest in electronic music should have a well-worn copy of this album, that I really felt like I needed to get this. And it was just as great as I hoped it would be. Just has its own spacey vibe that, like his track Window Licker, has been copied a million times. But nothing beats the original. It's just a fantastic album, and I don't really have anything else to add to the discussion on this one. And yes, I do have Since I Left You by the Avalanches on vinyl, my second favourite album of all time right now. By the way, this Binary Universe doesn't exist on vinyl. I wish it did. I love this so much that I've even put it in a plastic sleeve to protect it. But my god, does it feel good to have this thing on vinyl. I mean, what do I need to say? Such a vinyl-y album as well. Then I got Wildflower on vinyl, which the CD from earlier came from. Comes in this massive 4-panel gatefold with artwork from the tracks, even though there are only 2 discs. And also came with a giant poster that I've got on my wall. I'll show you this later. And Bonobo's Black Sands, the first album I ever bought on vinyl. Really great jazzy trip hop. A great thing to kick back to when I'm in my room and it's a rainy day. To put this on the vinyl player. Love this artwork as well. This is surprisingly somewhere in England. The Chemical Brothers with Free Yourself and Mad as Hell Electronic Battle Weapon version from their new album. 2 absolute bangers. And the Electronic Battle Weapon version of Mad as Hell is way better. Fleshes it out and adds more tangents and things like that. Fleshes it out and just makes it more satisfying. Keep Hope Alive 12-inch by the Crystal Method. I wouldn't say this was one of my favourites off the Vegas album, although it is a really good track. And that album's awesome, by the way, check it out. An 808 State 12-inch for the tracks Lift and Open Your Mind. I absolutely love the track Lift for just how all over the place it is, and it's so much fun to listen to. I feel like making tracks that are completely off the wall is what 808 State is best at. And the other track, Open Your Mind, while I don't have as much to say about it, is really nice and catchy as well. Now here's something I do have a lot to say about. 808 State's new album, Transmission Suite. I mean, it's not really for the music, this is probably my least favourite 808 State album, but I've got a long story behind this. See, I went to a Banquet Records show of 808 State, because I live really near Banquet Records and they do lots of shows. So I've got this signed. I met the band, they're really nice, and I kind of stood out because everyone else seemed to be bald 50-year-old dads. So basically they took a photo with me, saying something like, "Oh, our youngest fan." And then they also posted another photo on Instagram of their gig, and I commented, like, "I'm the kid in the white hoodie." So then they ended up finding my account, and now they follow me, as you can see up on the screen, and they posted that photo they took. So, yay, I'm famous. Also, I love all this artwork and how it comes out. Just look at all of this. God, I wish I had a studio like that. The album Out of the Blue from the Electric Light Orchestra. I saw this in the second-hand record shop and I thought it would be a great thing to own, seeing as I have so many memories of my dad playing me Mr. Blue Sky. That's a great track, by the way. But this is an awesome double album. So yeah, you got this enormous artwork on the inside saying 70s in massive letters, and this awesome image of a spaceship when you fold it out on the back. Violinist Stefan Grappelli and the guitarist Barney Kessel with I Remember Django. Yeah, this isn't really the kind of thing I'd buy normally, and I didn't. My dad bought this for me because he met Stefan Grappelli when he was younger. He went to his concert and apparently he just completely loved him. And they met and had a conversation about the violins because they both play the violin. And yeah, my dad has this great memory of Stefan Grappelli, so he decided to buy me this album when he found it. So yeah, I do actually love this. It's some really fun jazz music. Oh, and I said before, I love jazz. This guy's super amazing at improvisation. Paul Hartnell's album 858. If you don't know, Paul Hartnell's one half of Orbital, the other half being Phil Hartnell. Very forgettable names, I know. I love having this art with the clock on the front and all this. Yes, that's a very striking colour, I know. Admittedly not the best thing to ever come from Orbital, or one half of Orbital, but it is a ton of fun to listen to, and I mean, if you see a double LP for £10 on eBay, of course you're going to buy it. Very famous album from the multi-instrumentalist Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells. This consists of just two 20-minute tracks, and you see this on vinyl absolutely everywhere, so I thought I'd get a copy, seeing as it was only £1. But after I bought it, I did kind of realise why it was £1. Yeah, this is pretty battered. I do love the piece of music though. I can see how influential it was on other acts later on. The excellent double album of ambient house music from The Orb, The Orb's Adventures Beyond the Ultraworld. I love this thing so much. It's great for putting on in the background when you don't want something that completely grabs your attention and you want something more kind of ambient. And it's really unique how they create ambient music while still using beats. Oh, and I like how snappy the song titles are, you see. Like, a huge ever-growing pulsating brain that rolls from the centre of the Ultraworld Live Mix Mark 10. Really has a ring to it. Oh, we're getting into the Orbital vinyl. So this is a 12-inch of two remixes. Buried Deeper Within, a remix of their track Buried Deep Within from their latest album, and Impact, the Cursed Earth mix, a remix of Impact from the Brown album, which is very old. This is currently my only Record Store Day release, being released earlier this year. By the way guys, I didn't realise how big Record Store Day was, so I came at 11 o'clock and had to wait 3 hours. Lucky me! But I'm super glad I've got this. It's also my only release on coloured vinyl somehow, because bands I love never seem to release coloured vinyl. And this stripe on the front is kind of embossed, like it stands out, even though you can't tell because I put it in this plastic sleeve to protect it. Precious vinyl! So yeah, the vinyl's a beautiful white colour, and when you play it you can see how the middle looks like a sort of loading symbol. Awesome. Also got their Funny Break single. The original Funny Break isn't actually on here. Instead, you've got one remix from the band called the Weekend Ravers Mix, and a remix from Plump DJs, whoever they are. But these are two amazing remixes. They use vocoders and have much more satisfying drops and grooves than the original, even if I still prefer the original for its unique sound and amazing atmosphere. I have 1/3 of my favourite album from them called Insides. It's called Insides because the vinyl split into 3 discs, each with a track per side. So normally you get it in this enormous 3 LP set, which as far as I can tell you have to pay about £80 for on Discogs. But I found 1 disc from the album second hand for £3. So we got the track Stur Buddha, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's Welsh, so I don't know. And the 2-part of the box. Not exactly the disc I would have wanted the most from them. It would have been amazing to get the one with Adnan's and the 24-minute Out There Somewhere. That would have been awesome. But I love these tracks nonetheless, and also it's super great quality because it is 33 RPM, so the grooves are super spaced out, which But I think it is really good quality vinyl because it's 33 RPM, not 45, so the grooves are really spaced out, and I think that gives it better audio quality. Great to own this. And now, quite possibly, the rarest thing in my entire collection, CD and vinyl. A promotional copy, not for resale, of Orbital's Peel Session from 1993. Oh my god, I was pleased when I found this at the record fair. Just that thrill of finding something like this from one of your favourite bands ever. In case you don't know, Peel Sessions are sessions people did on Radio 1 with a guy called John Peel, where they do like a performance for about 20 minutes of their tracks. And you can see here we've got a remix of Lush, a remix of Walk Now called Walkabout, track called Semi-Detached, and Attached, which was the original version of the track that made it onto their next album, Snivelization. So yeah, I do really like the music on here as well. This wasn't all that much, it was £10. Architecture and Morality by Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. Not pretentious at all. I haven't got as much to say about this as some people would, but it's great to own a classic synth-pop album if it costs £2, so yeah. Peter Gabriel's soundtrack for the film Passion. My dad bought this at the same record fair because he wanted to hear it, but neither of us have listened to it yet, so... Next, got a 12-inch single for Wavy Gravy by Sasha. I picked this up because I'd heard Sasha work with BT before. And yeah, I love this track. I was really pleasantly surprised by it, because it sounds all bright and bubbly and it's really memorable. Also got an awesome B-side called Fundamental, which is like really intense drum and bass. Alright, we're bringing the big boys here. The debut album from tenor saxophonist Kamasi Washington, called The Epic. This is a 3-hour-long album, and yes, that does mean there are 3 discs of vinyl. This thing is super heavy. But looking at the track lengths, it's not really hard to see why the album's so long. Great to have all this sprawling jazz and improvisation with tracks that go on for great amounts of time. And I wouldn't make it any shorter. Well, maybe a little bit, but I just love how creative this is and the vast amount of musicians involved in making this thing. Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War of the Worlds. I find this one really hard to define by a genre or anything. It's basically a musical depiction of the classic book by H.G. Wells. It's a sci-fi book about aliens called the Tripods coming to invade Earth. Two discs here, and it's such a thrilling ride. But with a ton of different singers, recurring musical themes, and all throughout it there's narration by Richard Burton. Probably the only album I've ever heard that has plot twists that aren't musical. And yes, some people do die on this album. Never heard that before. Got the album Fragile by Yes. I think I and most people know this album for its first track, Roundabout, because that one is just hard to describe in words. But most of the rest of the album is used to show off the talents of each of the individual members, who each get their own track to make. So that's a really interesting feature. And also, you probably know roundabout for great to have memes on vinyl. Oh god, I still haven't listened to this one. This is Relayer by Yes. I can't tell you about what it sounds like, but I know it's an album with just 3 tracks. The most notable being the first one, a 20-minute opener called The Gates of Delirium. Rock-tastic. Love this artwork too. Now here are a bunch of 12 inches and EPs that I got purely for sampling, so I'll just go through these quite quickly. Oops Upside Your Head by the Gap Band. The Instruments of the Dance Orchestra by Ted Heath. Well, not by Ted Heath, but he's narrating it. Highlights from 21 years of BBC's Sport Report. Hits of 67. Kool and the Gang's The Throwdown Mix, which is a hits medley, along with Victory 7-inch version and Bad Woman. Spectacular Sound Effects. Sound Effects number 8 and 7 by BBC Records. By the way, it's great to have these old sounding sound effects on vinyl. They have a really retro feel, so they're great to use in your music, even if it's sort of illegal. Please don't tell on me, guys. Now let's do the 7 inches, starting off with the final piece of music I have from Orbital, the Omen single. I'm not a huge fan of this track, seeing as I'm not as into their very early material as I am to their mid and late 90s stuff. But I do very much like this track. It's also got a fun B-side called Too Deep, with a sample of some meditating thing with a guy going, "Relax your mind." Evil Woman and Telephone Line on 7-inch from the Electric Light Orchestra. I said I do very much like ELO, but I kind of got this out of curiosity because I knew that Evil Woman is the track that they sample on Daft Punk's Face to Face, so I kind of wanted to hear what it sounded like. And yeah, that is a great track, although I kind of do prefer Telephone Line. So does my dad. And another 7-inch I bought secondhand from the same place as the previous one, Cars by Gary Newman. Such a legendary synth pop track. I also like the B-side Asylum, kind of 2-minute instrumental that's quite creepy. And then the rest is just a ton of stuff I got for sampling of my own music at the secondhand record shop because they were being sold for 5p each. And then I'll just briefly show the 2 cassettes that I own. The Circus by Erasure and Sgt. Pepper by the Beatles, put in the wrong packaging. I don't have much to say about these, seeing as cassettes are quite rare these days for good reason, so I can't often find stuff that I really like on cassette unless I order it online. And besides, I don't really like how cassettes sound. If you buy them pre-owned, they often don't sound that great. So yeah, I don't really buy cassettes. And that is all the music that I own. I know this video is starting to get crazily long, but I just got 2 more things to do, which is show my music listening setup and my collection of gear, which is quite small. So yeah, let's just do that then. So this is my music listening setup. Ignore the stuff in the background, my room's really messy. So yeah, let's play Guess How Much the vinyl player, the sound system and the speakers cost in total. If you guessed £0, you were correct. Yeah, seriously. So basically, I borrowed this from my uncle when I said that I was looking for a turntable, and he said he had one that he wasn't using, so yeah, that's great. This used to be my mum's, so you can use that for the radio, CD, vinyl and tape. And these, my dad rescued from a skip. Whoever was throwing those away, thank you. Yeah, admittedly, I'm thinking of buying a new vinyl player. I really don't like this one. It doesn't look very good, with the orange stylus and the black and all that, but most importantly, I don't like having this automated system. I like to just drop the needle on instead, but I don't know, it's fine. And yeah, right now I'm using a slip mat from Banquet Records, my local record shop that, like I said, I'm extremely lucky to live near. Oh, and also when I want to listen to CDs, I've got this really cute little portable CD player, and this also plugs into headphones, so that's great. I can listen to CDs on journeys, because I'm the kind of person who wants to do that. Speakers sound great as well. Well, they wouldn't blow you away, but they're decent. So I'll just quickly show you how I make music now. So I make music on Ableton Live, so you can see here. I've got Ableton Live Intro Edition, which is the kind of most simple paid for version. So you get light, intro, standard and sweet, and I've got intro. So this costs £70, and I mean, I would really like to be able to have unlimited instruments along here. At the moment I've got a limit of 16, but it's fine. I won't do a full tutorial of how to use Ableton, but I just completely love how you can go from arrangement view to session view where you perform live. It's a really unique feature that really helps you if you're gonna take this to a live setting. So at the moment I'm just doing this on my family laptop. I would like to have like my own special PC for this at some point in the future, but yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment. So this is the live set for my track Rebellion, which is quite old, but so you can see how you can see here how the track's laid out. God, what is wrong with my mastering back there? Then I got a handful of pieces of equipment to go with Ableton, all from the company Novation. So first we've got the very famous Launchpad. I'm sure you've seen people doing videos of these, doing like covers of tracks. I don't think what you think they're doing is what they're actually doing, because that's not really how you normally use these. I got this ages ago, which was like kind of what first inspired me to make music, when my dad showed me a video of someone using a Launchpad, and I decided I wanted to get one for my birthday, and we downloaded Ableton with it, but our computer back then was absolutely terrible, so we couldn't really run it until I was 11, I think. And I don't know if it's old or something's wrong with the port, but this like barely ever responds to the computer properly when I plug it in. So I'm not really using this live at the moment. I find ways to get around it. It's a bit faulty, unfortunately. Then we've got Novation's Launch Key, specifically Launch Key 25 note keyboard. I do use this one a lot live. This is kind of like my main controller when I'm doing things. So it's got a row of pads like the Launchpad has, so you can start clips going. A keyboard obviously, so you can play things on there. Lots of knobs to control different parameters, and various other controls. So yeah, this is a really useful thing to plug into your computer. And then lastly, the Novation Circuit. You can watch my review on this one if you want my full thoughts on it, but basically it's a really cool standalone groove box with its own speaker and batteries. So yeah, I just completely love using this. It's a great way to like put down your thoughts if you've got like a melody in your head and you just want to quickly put it into music. So yeah, that's great. And then finally, like I said earlier, I'll just quickly show the posters I've got. So I've got this enormous one from the vinyl of Wildflower by the Avalanches, and then most other things come from the CDs. So I've got Orbital's Monsters Exist, Chemical Brothers with Born in the Echoes, Pieces the Mission by Major Lazer, that's a very old one, Cloud9 by Kygo, even though I don't like that album very much anymore, Daft Punk's Discovery, Out of the Blue by ELO, The All Together by Orbital, The Epic by Kamasi Washington, so that's art for the track Change of the Guard, and then there's also another one just saying The Epic up there. Singles Collection by the Basement Jacks, The Now Now by Gorillaz, also came with these postcard things that I put on the wall. Recess by Skrillex, even though that's another album that I don't actually like very much. And a full-size Pink Floyd poster for Dark Side of the Moon tour. That's something I bought from HMV rather than coming with an album. I know any HMV though. And that is the end of this video. I don't know if anyone will have watched this full video because it's over 40 minutes long now. But however much you did watch, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon because it's half term now and I've got reviews to post of the new 808 State album and the new BT album and the new Foals album, so yeah, busy time right now, so bye! The Nocturnian... I don't speak French. Really gay... Hello? Mum, I'm trying to film a video, can you... Sorry. So I've got Ableton Intro, which is the... Mum, I'm in the middle of an enormous really dramatic